Greetings and salutations. Today we'll take a look at the Berried amp from Audio Assault. The Berried amp was done in collaboration with Charles Caswell, the artist behind the band Berried Alive. I won't be afraid to admit that I'm not a huge fan of the band, but there's definitely some great tones to be had in this plugin. First off, just to get it out of the way, I really love the aesthetic of this plugin. The bright over-the-top colours and fun monster art just somehow work. It's actually a really nice change from the clinical looking plugins that are out there at the moment. I will say that I only have the demo version of this plugin, but it has all the features available. The only thing you can't do is save and load presets. But at least you guys will know that the tones that I used in my song, I created myself from scratch. This comes with 3 amps. The blue amp is a high gain crunch amp with a lead and rhythm channel. The red amp seems to be based on a Mesa rectifier. It comes with a modern and vintage channel. And the green amp is a clean amp, which also has a crunch tone, but it also has some very crystal clear clean tones. It comes with a detailed cab section, or you can use the built-in IR loader. It has Audio Assault's always great pre and post effects with noise gate, screamer, tone boost, delay, reverb and EQs. This one also comes with a great harmonizer. You can get some really crazy tones out of that. And yes, as always is my favorite thing, it has a fully resizable interface. Thank you Audio Assault. So to my thoughts. This is easily Audio Assault's best quality and best sounding amp sim. It is so easy to get a good tone out of this. The only thing that this brings with it is the price tag, $70 US, which is a lot more expensive than most of their other amp sims. The other thing is I've never ever once seen this go on sale. But even at that price, it's still a killer amp sim, easily comparable to anything else on the market. And the great colourful interface somehow just makes this seem like the most fun amp sim out there. So now we'll listen to a song that I did using the Berried amp. After that I'll show you the mix and how I came up with the tones. Because this is the demo version, all my tones will be white, so you will get to see how I actually built the tones from scratch. So if you've ever wanted to see how I create tones, this is the video for you. Please like and subscribe if you are liking the content, and enjoy indeed. Thanks guys. Okay guys, so here we are in Reaper. I'll give you a quick rundown on how I go about making guitar tones because I can't save presets in the Berried amp, so you get to see what I'm doing. Just quickly, Easy Drummer Modern Metal expansion for the drums. Like always, Parallax for bass. So you can hear what they sound like quickly. Okay. Then, okay, basically get 15 minutes to create tones for these guitars because the demo only works for 15 minutes and I can't save presets. So, Berried amp. I'll shrink it down a little bit so it's not so big. Alright, I'm going to drag out 4 instances. I'll do 2 instances so I can do one side and then I'll just copy it to the other side. Okay, so how it sounds. See, everything's at default, no pedals on, nothing. So what I'm going to do, straight up, I usually put noise gate just to stop any noise. Screamer, standard settings, straight across the board. I usually add about 2 o'clock on the tone. I've always liked it for some reason. First thing I do when I'm doing guitar tones, pull the gain back. Especially when you're quad tracking guitars, you don't want too much gain because it'll just turn into a fuzzy mess. Bass I usually pull back a bit, mids down, treble up, presence up, depth down a little bit. That's usually how I start, just as a standard tone. The cab, I'll just leave it, see how it sounds. That doesn't sound too bad. I'd probably so yeah, I usually move the mics to the outside just to give it a bit more depth. Find if it's too straight on, it just doesn't, I don't know, too hissy. I actually don't mind that straight up. But see, you can see I keep the gain down. If I turn the gain up anymore, this gets too fizzy. Bringing that gain right down really tightens up the tone. What I like to do with the second guitar on that side is use a completely different amp. So what we'll do is we'll go with the red amp. Again, try to keep it pretty much the same. Gain down, bass down, especially on this amp because the bass is very heavy on this amp. Mids down a bit, treble up, presence up. But I might try a different cab. Nope. Helps if I actually put the amp on. So this one's got a lot more fuzz in the gain, so might even bring that level on that down a little bit. So that doesn't sound too bad. I know this isn't giving you a very in-depth look at it, guys, but let's just see if we can get a quick tone out of this amp. So you don't always have to quad track. If you're not quad tracking, you can leave the gain up a little bit more just to give it a bit more grunt. But I find with quad tracking that you want to bring the gain down so it's not too over the top. So I want to put presence up there, noise gate on, screamer on. I think I had it at about 8. That. Turn up. Cabs, I'm pretty sure I used the other cab for this. We'll just leave it as standard. Now let's see how that sounds as 4 guitars. I do also have a bit of EQ on here. Let's change that EQ. And that plug-in. Already you can see it's not too bad. I'll turn that. As you can tell, that's my direct in. It's my DI signal. With the amps on. As you can see, I've got them everything hard pan left and right. Some people do, you know, like maybe one hard 100% over, and maybe one 85%. Depending on the song, sometimes I'll do that, but this is just a straight up song, so I just wanted to keep it pretty simple. So 2 hard left, 2 hard right. With the bass tone in. So with the tones, guys, don't drop all your mids out. You drop all your mids out, you're going to lose a lot of clarity. You know, I mean, it's very dependent on what you like, but I just find not being over the top with your tone, you know, no mids is not good. Too much mids is not good. Too much treble is not good. It's got to be a nice balance. But, you know, also it comes down to where your mic placement is, like moving this mic around here. Like you can hear that straight away, the huge difference that makes in the tone. So it's a bit of everything, not just your settings on your amp, but it's also your mic placement. So I hope this has given you some sort of, I don't know, idea of how I go about getting the tones. My main thing that I learned a long time ago was keep that gain low in recording. Having a tone for playing and a tone for recording is two completely different tones. They're nothing alike. I would never play with this tone if I was just picking up my guitar and sitting down and playing. I would never use this tone. I would have the drive up a lot more, probably a bit more bass in it. Maybe a little bit less treble. It's a completely different thing when I'm just picking up my guitar to play guitar and sit down and make tones for like an actual recording, especially on the gain. The gain, keeping that gain down is so important. I'll give you an example. So I'll turn the gain up, you know, and then I'll turn the gain up on all the amps to about 7 or 8. Now, you know, that bit of the song is just a straight up crunchy sort of punch riff. So you listen to how much clarity I lose with higher gain. So now what we'll do is bring the gain back down to about 3 on the guitars. You got to also remember, like when the guitars are by themselves, you think, oh, it's not very driven, it's not very punchy. But once you add the bass and the drums in, everything together will make it a lot more punchy. So like you can hear that clarity a lot more of every detail of the punch. It just makes it so much better. You see, it's not very driven, but you add in everything else. So keeping that gain down, guys, is really, really important in metal guitars. You don't need it so driven because you lose the clarity of your riffs. So I hope this has helped, and hope this has been informative. Thank you for watching as always, and enjoy indeed. Thanks, guys.